everyone, and welcome to NFLGirlUK Meets. I'm Liz Bhandari, and this is a show that brings you closer to the game you love. In this episode, I speak with Allison Engelken, who is the Executive Director of Community Development at the Denver Broncos. Allie has the role of improving lives in the community by focusing on youth development, quality of life, health and wellness, youth football, and civic engagement. In our interview, Allie shares with me how she came to be in a community role and within an NFL organisation, the type of activity that she and the team are involved in, and also the impact it has by having players involved in community activities. Welcome to the show, Allie.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Before we start, I just want to say thanks for taking the time out to speak with me. The aim of my podcast series is to help fans see the human side of players, the different roles in the NFL, and especially to hear from amazing women like you who are making incredible things happen. So thank you.
Of course. So I'm excited to chat with you and answer all your questions. So.
Amazing, thank you. So, you play a huge part on improving lives in the Colorado community. Tell me more about the type of activities that you and the team get involved in.
Absolutely. So the Denver Broncos are committed to improving lives in the community, and we do so by focusing on 5 key areas: youth development, quality of life, health and wellness, youth football, and civic engagement. And because we're not a direct service organization, we find it very important to align ourselves with best-in-brand nonprofits who are doing incredible work that we can help bolster what they're doing as well as bring awareness to the work that they're doing. And so within each of those focus areas, we identify those nonprofit partners and we set goals each year together for what we would like that partnership to look like. So some organizations really need assistance on the awareness piece and the campaign of who they are and what they do. And some organizations, serve a lot of really deserving kids that just need special events and activities to keep them engaged and energized around school, athletics, meeting their goals. So every partnership looks different, which is what I love the most about our approach to working in the community, because we're not cookie cutter. It's not you get X, Y, and Z and we're done. It is how can we help you and how can we take this platform and this brand and really do good work and make a difference and have lasting impact on our fans as well as those who are growing up in our community.
And you've been with the Broncos for a couple of years now, but prior to this, you were also at the Washington Redskins.
Correct.
What was it that drew you to wanting to take on like a community type role?
Yeah, that's a great question and one that I get asked a lot. So when I was graduating, my undergraduate degree was in journalism, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do with that. And so I took 2 years to take a full-time position and really explore where my passion areas were. And I found that my passion areas lied in community relations. And so I had this dream that I wanted to work for a nonprofit. And so I had an informational interview with a family friend who worked at a nonprofit. And afterwards, he said to me, "You've given me all these textbook answers, but what do you love? Like, what do you love to do?" And I was like, "I love kids and I love community service and I love sports. Like, that's just my personal passion is sports." And he looked at me and he said, "Well, why aren't you pursuing that? Like, that is an opportunity and a route that you could go." And so from there, I went to graduate school studying specifically sport management and business administration. But I always knew at the back of my mind, whatever I was doing, as long as it was impacting the community, it was the right role for me. So if that was with a team, if that was with a league, if that was with a college, anything that would allow me to make connections between sports and the community was kind of my perfect formula.
Yeah. So you'd say you've always had a desire to go into sports, which is pretty exciting.
Yes.
What's it like to be part of the Denver Broncos?
The Broncos is an incredible organization, and I have loved my time here because I feel so supported. So, being in a market in a state like Colorado where the Broncos are the only NFL team for hours driving, we are the only NFL team. And so we feel support from, Wyoming to Idaho, all throughout Colorado, New Mexico, these amazing areas that we kind of call ourselves Broncos country. And so it's not just one little city, one little town. It's this great fan base. And so, Pat Bolin, who we sadly lost earlier this year, our team owner, his goal was always to be number one in everything. And he took that seriously on the field and off the field. He was an incredibly philanthropic man, and he gave back so much to the community that now that is seen as a core pillar of our organization, is that we give back. And so we do that with our players, with our coaches, with our staff. We have something every single week that is us giving back to the community that supports us so much. And so being in an environment like that with a lot of flexibility and creativity and resources and funds to be able to do those things is really invigorating each and every day, that we can make a difference and we can do so many unique things. And so I think that's what I love most about the organization, that, you know, we are football first. We're a team. So we are football first. Absolutely. That is so important to us. But we are so much more than football, especially in this community that loves us so much.
So to me, I feel like you must have such like a fulfilling role. What does a typical day look like for you? And what initiatives are you and the team like working on right now?
Yeah. There is no typical day in community development. So I'll kind of walk you through our year, because I think that helps paint a good picture of how we operate. So January through March is a lot of planning. So that is our time to meet with partner organizations. We recap the previous year and we talk about what's coming up. We set our goals, but we usually use that time to slow down for a second, pump the brakes, make sure that we have everything ready that we want to launch for the next season. And then once the NFL schedule comes out in April, all of the players are back for off-season workouts and activities. So when the players are in the building, we plan a minimum of one voluntary community service project for the players every single week. And so it is always at an off time where it will not interfere with any football related activities, and it's completely voluntary. Our players do not have any requirement of hours, number of events, appearances, anything like that. And we have a big whiteboard that sits outside the locker room, and they sign themselves up on the board if they're interested in participating. And so the off season is a lot of events, just appearances, events, kind of getting the players connected to organizations that they may want to work for, and just being a resource to the players. I feel like that's first and foremost, you know, what our job is. So then once we get into summer, so in between training camp or our mini camp and training camp, the players are all off, the coaches are off, and so we go into full planning mode for the season, because once the players come back, then it's like full speed ahead. So similar to off season, when we are in season, we plan a minimum of one voluntary opportunity for players each and every week, and then we also have staff opportunities for our staff to volunteer. So I'd say a lot of at the core of what we do in our department and who I am as a professional, I'm a networker and an event planner. So it's a lot of logistics and planning and making connections between different people who, you know, are interested in working together, would like to continue a relationship, things like that.
What kind of impact does what you and the team get involved in have on the community?
I think it's really important, and we've worked very hard as our department is to provide ways for our fan base to engage with us in the community. So whether that is donating, you know, financially to a fundraiser of ours, or volunteering alongside of us at a day of service, we always try to connect our fan base into what we're doing, because we're serving the community. So without their input and without the community's support back, it's really a one-sided relationship. And so we see so much value in the things that we do, but we don't always publicize what we do. We have events and appearances that have no media coverage at all, because it's just the right thing to do. And it's just something that the players want to do, but they don't want to do it to be seen as someone who's doing it for that reason. And so we push out as much as we're comfortable with, but the exposure and the coverage is by no means our driving factor in that. And I think that gives us a really good balance between sharing our story, but also still doing things, because at the core of who we are as an organization, that is what we should be doing. Yeah,
absolutely. And I guess with any business, there's obviously only so much budget or time or resource you can put to these kind of things. Like, how do you as a team decide like how much money is spent and how I guess, time is shared across these things?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And we have a few different budgets that we work on throughout the year. So we have a designated community development budget, and that's what we are working within our department to allocate those resources. So that's for our special events. That is for our player appearances, not paying the players, but the organizations that they're working with. And then we have our separate nonprofit that is Denver Broncos Charities. And so we actually fundraise. And everything that we fundraise, we are able to give back to the community. So we take a lot of pride in having multiple people and multiple say of where that money is spent. So we vote as a board of where large scale grants go. We let the players vote on where they would like to see funds go. So we want everyone to feel a part of that. You know, we don't want to operate in a silo as our department. We're just 4 people. And so for us, it's important to have feedback from, you know, community partners, feedback from players, from other staff members, so that we're, you know, being good stewards with those donations and those resources.
A final question. Of all the different projects you've been involved in, past and present, which one would you say you are most proud of, and why?
Oh, man. It's a hard question. It's almost like picking a favorite child. Like, it's really hard to choose one that is your favorite. But I will say that no matter what, there is always one moment at every single project that means the most to me. And so my favorite moment is that whenever a player connects with a community member, so whether that is a 6-year-old who is staying the night at the children's hospital, or a high school student athlete who, you know, made the honor roll, or someone who's donating blood at a community blood drive, you know, after a recent shooting or a natural disaster. When the player interacts with that person, that is the magic that keeps our department going. And that is the special moments where we've had, you know, 7 events in the last 3 days.
Wow.
But when you stop and look at each of those moments at each of those events, it puts everything into perspective, that for that one moment, that one day, that 1 hour, you know, that person feels like they are the center of the universe. And that's so important. And so when we talk about spreading kindness and lifting others up with us, to me, that is the crucial part of that. That's the human interaction of, I care about you, I'm here for you, and I thank you, you know, for being a part of our community.
That's amazing, and especially in like today's world, there's so much, I guess, doom and gloom, so it's nice for these kind of moments to help pick up the community and just like, share kindness, like you say.
Yeah, and I think what's really special is, so we have community jerseys is what we call them. So we have Broncos jerseys. They don't have the players' names on the back. So it's truly just a Broncos jersey. And so it doesn't matter if you are the starting quarterback or you are number 10 on the practice squad. When you put on a Broncos jersey, you're elevated to this really unique platform that everyone is looking at you like a role model. And so I think we are very cognizant that we want our players to be seen as these great ambassadors in the community, but it doesn't matter what your name is, how much money you're donating, how much time you're donating. If you are in the moment, in that exact same moment, and you're wearing a jersey of ours, you are representing so much more than just yourself at that point too.
Oh, this has been really lovely.
Yeah, you can tell I love talking about what we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So special, and we're just the behind the scenes part of like making that all happen. But you know, I am biased. I believe that community relations is a really, really special part of any organization, and that's teams or companies. But having an organization, you know, dedicate a department and resources and funds to making the community a better place, I think should be talked about and celebrated more. I think it's just so special.
Yeah, I agree. It's really special. I think, like you say, any business should absolutely make that a priority.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I think it's been... obviously, it's been another speech. I think it's absolutely incredible what you and the team do for the community. So keep up the amazing work, and thank you again for taking the time to speak to me.
Absolutely. It's so nice to meet you. And if you ever have any other questions or need anything, or if you find yourself in Denver, please reach out. We'd love to host you and show you anything game day or community related. We'd be happy to show you.
Thank you so much.